Hello and welcome to the 9th day of February 2022. My name is Kurt and this is my Good Life Meditation, a daily exercise to remember my life objectives and principles and to see how I'm doing applying these to the challenges and the opportunities of yesterday and what might happen today. First, last night and yesterday, it was another not sleepless night, but night of getting up early. Hi, dogs. Not getting up early, but my mind wakes up probably around. My alarm goes off at 5 a.m. every morning. I was probably up at 3:30. Out my window, I can see. Our bedroom's on the second floor. I can have a beautiful view of the desert. I can see the desert mountains in the distance, and I can kind of measure the course of the morning by how far Venus is above the mountains. Venus wasn't up yet when I first woke up. The usual thing, the same thing that's kept me or caused me to rise early for at least 2 years. I don't recall this happening before I went to Ventura. I don't know, maybe it was something about the way my job was before, maybe not as high profile. I think that's it. The things I was working on were not as high profile. And then when I went to Ventura, I took on very high profile project. One was really high profile, and now I've got two very high profile projects. I think I can handle both of them, the ones I have right now. Certainly much better for the Ventura experience. I learned a lot there. Nonetheless, maybe that's what's keeping me awake. It's that I don't want to. It's one thing to fail. It's another thing to fail publicly. Maybe it's less concern about that and more about the project, and more concern about my image. That wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, I was going to say I'm not concerned about it. I am. I mean, I would like to be able to sleep better. I'm still getting a good night's sleep because I go to bed so damn early. I would like to not have to worry about this stuff, but at the same time, it's nice to have something important, seemingly, to focus on. I don't know that I'm one that's ready for not having that. It's good for me. It's good to keep me engaged and keep my mind so engaged, because I don't seem to be so good at doing that on my own. It'd be neat to be able to retire from this, which I can probably do in about 2 years if I want to. And Yumiko was teasing me the other day. It was 2 days ago. We were walking the dogs, and I'm no longer a manager. I was a manager at Ventura, so to speak. I didn't manage anybody, but I had the title and the stress, because with that came the responsibility. I'm not that now. I'm back to where I prefer to be, which is, aligned staff. But she was like, and I was telling her, I said, this isn't so bad. I think this job, even though it's stressful, lasts 48 hours, I said, maybe I could stick with it longer than two years and, push on for a couple more years. And she said, no, you need to become a manager again. I said, why is that? She said, because then the stress will make you want to retire. Because I think she wants us to be free. Bless her soul. So I didn't sleep so well, but that's okay. That's part and parcel. I tried a couple of things. I tried even using Marcus Aurelius's strategy of reflecting on one's principles. Didn't seem to help much. I also thought about his observations about thinking about the successive waves of generations before that have passed to dust. That didn't help either. So much for philosophy. That was all about last night. As for yesterday, it was a good day, another challenging day, a hard day of work. Man, boy, I really do put my nose to the grindstone these days. hammer things out. I had one incident where I was called out to me that I had missed the bullseye aim. One of my principles. Otherwise, what I did went well. The presentation I did good. That's the feedback I got. So funny. I've been in this position so many times. We're seeing all the little nitty-gritty stuff seems so important for the job I'm talking about. And then I'll get through it. We'll do this. And then I won't even be able to remember the nitty-gritty. It's too bad that I can't keep that. Help my mind to know that now. Okay, let's do the good life. 7 objectives and 30 principles. I want to be ready to die so that my relationships are sound and I've got my finances as squared away as possible, leaving records for my wife to find and making sure that she knows where to find them. And that my life's work is as settled as possible. And it is. My book, Going Alone, is complete. I also want to make good use of my time so that I'm not wasting things away, not just frittering life. And to work on my principles and my objectives, to reflect on these every day, to hold each one, look closely at it, and then set it back on the shelf. And if I need to change it, do so. And if I need to discard it, have the courage to do that as well. The will. To cultivate good emotional reactions so that life isn't ambushing me, or even when life does ambush me, I can respond well. I do that really carefully at work. I have my little office set up over here. And because it's all online meetings, I've managed to train myself to, before the meeting starts, to prepare my tableau, my physical appearance, so that all the background is just right, lighting is just right, I'm positioned right, the microphone's just right, the headphones, because I've trained myself to do one thing slowly, because I always meet with the camera on, unless the meeting appears to be going the other way and it's not my meeting, then I'll follow suit. And that's part of the reacting well, having good emotional reactions, because I'm composing myself to react well. I also want to perform good actions so that I leave things better in my wake. I want to recognize my limits, and my opportunities, so I can work around the former and find ways to make good use of the latter. And then I always want to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately. That one also helps me a lot at work. I have a little notepad, and I'll take notes about the things that need to be done, but I won't do them while I'm doing something else. Doesn't help me to sleep, though. All right, those are my 7 objectives. Let's go over the 30 principles now. I want to fight against everything that I believe is true, and all the seemingly important things that others tell me are true as well, and that they suggest I should believe. I'll use my honesty, my objectivity, and my skepticism to rally reason towards the cause of the war that I mentioned, to do my best to discern truth. I'll also keep in mind that I don't have a soul, but I do have a consciousness that's with me for a little while. Seems to be pretty sound at this time, but will wink out the moment my body stops sustaining it. And then that'll be the end of me. But in the meantime, I exist like a man on a rock in the sea, And I can see others. There you are over there on your rock, and someone else. And there's my wife. She's kind of close, but still, there's this gap of water separating us. Hi. Good and evil are things that I inscribe it on the inside of my skull with the homunculus with a little chisel. Not a chisel, chalk. Because it blows away with the wind and I can erase it. I wonder how well the chalk writing is holding up under the bridge at Siberia after well over a year since I've been there. And while I endeavor, I want to have some purpose to pursue. And foremost in that list is taking care of my daughter and my wife and cultivating this family, largely so that our daughter can safely get into adulthood and be off on her own, not need us so much, because we won't be around that long. I was going to say we won't be around forever, but we won't be around that long. Much longer either. Everything is little pieces, atoms, molecules, as Lucretius so aptly puts. He even pointed out that there's 3 subatomic particles. Amazing. He didn't name them, but he somehow postulated that they are there, seemingly correctly. How did he do that from the 1st century BC? And everything has some nature, the way it is. And it's good to recognize that. Like the teams that I'm assembling for my project, each and every individual on those teams has their nature. And I do better when I run the projects with that in mind. Not lowering my expectations, but lowering my expectations in some cases and heightening it in others. That can be true even within an individual team member. I don't think free will is real. I think it's an illusion, something that the nature of the way our lives pass gives us the impression that we're making decisions. But I think that each decision we make is the pointy edge of a long succession of actions that have occurred through the universe leading until now, until this moment of our choice, nudging us one way or the other while we think that we're free. But I don't think we are. That alone should give me reason to sleep well at night. Maybe I'll dwell on that one tomorrow morning if I'm awake. Maturity seems to be something that we arrive at when we're wise about our experience of life. We remember our mistakes, maybe have some idea about why those mistakes occurred, and we also know about our successes and are keen to replicate those or to leverage those into more success in the future. When we have that wisdom and that fortitude, we become mature. We need each other. We're social animals. It's not good to go alone too long or too deep. Come back. Come back to others. When I'm speaking with others, I want to use my words carefully to not overdo it or speak too little, but try to do it just enough words, just the right words to speak just right what I want to say, and using vocabulary that is readily understood. Not trying to dazzle people, but yet at the same time having a good vocabulary so that I can understand such words when I encounter them in my reading. And to never gossip. To control my consumption. of all things. That includes what I eat and what I drink, how much and how hard I work. I'm going to need to think about that one today. Likewise for play, sleep, etc., worry. And to remember that a simple life is a temperate life. And I'm going to suffer a little bit when I deny myself what I want, but that's good. That's a sign that I'm exercising temperance, and that I want to remain apathetic to the things that I can identify are outside of my control. That applies to temperance, but also to communication and to engagement. Life sure is a beautiful thing. Yeah. But in reality, it's also a horrible thing. Really, really horrible for a lot. Not just humans, but our pets and the animals that we engage with that are not our pets, and wildlife. There's just a non-stop series of horror going on. It racks my brain. I want to remember that so that I can be active and alert to it, and to seek to alleviate it where I can. Alleviate the horror. And bear the facts of that horror as best I can. There's one going on right now that I won't give any details. It doesn't involve me directly, although I've participated in my efforts to alleviate the pain. But there's someone in my world who is suffering so terribly. It's like to the degree that I can barely bring myself to think about it. Like I said, I'm doing my part. I've done my part. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know what else to do. And it's like I have to temper my thoughts because it drags me down. I want to bear it. I want to bear it well and help. And that's something I'll do. And I have done. And I will do that elsewhere in life because the horror is rampant. I'll also try to be satisfied where I am right now, what I'm doing, and with the man that I have become. All the while, I'll seek to improve those as I can. And I'll maintain in reserve the ability to move on into new life as necessary, as desired, so that I live not just a single life, but a succession of worthwhile lives over the course of a single life. Not for everybody. It's not that strategy isn't for everybody, but it's one that Yumiko and I like. So I don't know how many more of those transitions we have in us, but to do it, you have to muster the information. You have to muster the strength to collect the information and then make a decision. Think about it and then make a decision. Possibly leaning in with your gut to make the tough choice, one or the other, recognizing that it may be the wrong choice. I will remember that life offers risks, both deep and shallow. The shallow ones being the standard fare of education, spouse, home, family, work, of course, and saving for retirement. And then the deep risk is finding ourselves and living some sort of an adventure or an experience in life that helps us to be satisfied with not just the length of our living, but the depth as well. And then striving always to be very careful about what I believe, to not believe things too easily or because I'm convinced, I'm impressed with an institution or the strength of someone's argument in terms of just their forcefulness, or how impressive they are, or to not fall into the trap of hovering over superstition, and to not be hopeful without coupling that to action, and to never ever trust faith as a rationale for belief. Faith is nothing more than the belief itself, which is the thing under scrutiny, which can't act as its own evidence. And to never gossip. And to remember that once dead, dead. And if there's no afterlife, no soul, no God, it's just this life. We've got these animated few years, and once we're dead, that's it. We will never see the ones we love in the afterlife, nor will we have a chance to make things right or to pursue justice. So we have to attend to those important things in the here and now. It's nice to have an adventure, especially one significant enough, deep and long enough to help to form our character. I've had several, and I recorded it in my book, Going Alone. And the important thing is that if we cultivate adventure, it seems that our minds become suggestive of ideas. I call that the Muse speaking. Others call it that too. And the thing is to, when that Muse speaks, get those words down, record them, because they tend to flow away. When we strive for the mark, we usually don't hit the bullseye. It's a little bit off, and that's okay. Every day is like steps continuing to climb the mountain. Up we go. The view is often worth the climb. Life remains throughout our living years like an arena where we get to exercise our best living, using our principles as the tools of execution. Sometimes less is a lot better, and even nothing sometimes can be enough. And I want to have a fun life too, not just the serious stuff. And that's it. That's my good life meditation for today. I did that in a slightly different style, more of a free-form type of a thing, just as I flowed, touching on the principles without naming them. That was fun. I might do that more often. I don't think I could have done that very easily without all the practice I've had. Let's talk about today. I'm not ready for today. I'm still feeling anxious about work. I don't feel rested. Even though I got a lot of sleep, a lot of time in bed, I lost about an hour and a half of real sleep, which I don't do well without. I've got several meetings today, some important ones. My goal today will be to assemble a list of Wave 1 sites. You don't know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. I shouldn't talk about work too much, but I'm going to assemble a list of Wave 1 sites. I want to have about 7 or 8, maybe 6. I've got 4. I'm working with a supervisor to do that, and then identify contacts for that, and to be in a position of readiness for an important meeting next week. Also, I want to finish reading that dang contract. that 85-page contract, which I'm up to about 60 pages now, the deep study of it. funny, someone actually asked me in a meeting yesterday about a point from the contract that I hadn't gotten to yet. And it was like, dang it, if I just finished the contract, I would have known the answer. And I couldn't answer it. So you see, it's helpful to do that deep study, because when I'm executing the project, I'll have it here. Or if it's not here, at least in my notes. And if not in my notes, in the contract I can refer back to. But it's amazing how sometimes when studying this stuff, how it gets lodged in your head. And then when someone asks a question later, like, is this product ADA compliant? Oh yes, in fact it is. Okay, well, I'll stop there. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Be safe, but not too safe.